Here's what's next on the Nice Guys on Business.
You know, with someone with pain, you say, okay, let's start with some exercise. They say, I hurt. The last thing I want to do is move. So obviously we have to start to kind of reframe that for them, make them feel safe, that they can do a little bit of exercise, that they can be a little bit sore, but still be safe, and that hurt doesn't always equal harm in the case of chronic pain because the pain is being generated by the brain and not by the joint. When they start to understand those concepts, everything changes sometimes within hours or days.
Hey, it's John Lee Dumas, and you're listening to the nicest guys in podcast land. Get ready as Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner take your business to the next level. This is the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
The Nice Guys on Business podcast. They're going to need a bigger boat. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, Nice Guy community. Welcome back. Welcome back. It is Friday. My name is Strickland Bonner. On the other side of the microphone, Mr. Doug Sandler, and we are live on the C-Suite Network. But we're not live. We're really not live.
Well, we really are. I mean, we're not dead on the C-Suite Network. Is it? I don't understand Facebook Live. How does that happen how does it know when it's live and when it's recorded? Because when you're recording it, the little live thing comes on, but when you're not recording it, it says recorded earlier. How does that work exactly? There must be something technology involved with that, right?
I'm not really clear on the question, Doug, because I think you just answered it. The question I thought was, how do you know if it's live or if it's been recorded already? Because, you know, when you go onto Facebook, it says live or previously recorded. Was that a question or a statement?
Well, you remember? Okay, so let me take you back to 1982 for a second, Strick, when you used to tape a program using a Betamax, okay? Or a VHS. Man, remember that battle between VHS and Betamax? That was a shit show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you used to hit record, even on a live show that would say live. Okay, so now you're recording the show that says live. Mm-hmm. Now, when you play it back, it does not say previously recorded. It says live. So it isn't really an actual recording going on. How does it know? That's my question. How does it know?
What are you talking about? How does it know?
Apparently, I lost you with my vast intelligence. I lost you somewhere along the way.
So when you tape it onto 30-year-old technology VHS or Betamax, it says live because maybe you were taping it live. And then when you play it back, it still says live, right?
Yeah, hold on a second.
You were just taping something that was on, right?
Turn on my machine. Hold on a second. Betamax.
He's going to turn on his VHS/Betamax machine right now. For what reason, I have no idea.
I got to turn my reel-to-reel off first. Do you still have a reel-to-reel?
No, I never had a reel-to-reel.
No, you never did. 8-track?
Yeah, I had an 8-track for a while when I was a kid, yeah.
Was there anything? So it went from reel-to-reel. Was 8-track after reel-to-reel or was... No, they didn't have
but reel-to-reel was never really big. Reel-to-reel was always like for the high-end, hi-fi audio guys.
Okay, so in your car, you had AM radio, then it went to AM FM, and then it went to AM FM and 8-track. Is that correct?
Yeah, or cassette,
right.
yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm getting
8-track first, right?
Right, so AM FM, AM/FM 8-track. Then we added to it a cassette. Mm-hmm. Then we added to the cassette a CD, right?
Right.
Okay. Anything come after the CD except for MP3?
Yeah, kind of in between. You know, you could a lot of cars you could plug a thumb drive in, or you could do like a mini jack where like you're playing it from your phone, and then
Bluetooth, right?
And then Bluetooth, and yeah, really, that was
so
it.
We've just hit the entire world of technology there. If we are missing out on any of them, can somebody just fill us in? What are we missing out? I know this was an interview day. I just really got that whole recording thing bug in my head when I started talking Betamax.
You want to go back to Morse code, you know, Samuel Morse, and then there was Edison and the telephone, you know, and then there was radio. I mean, dude, what?
Wait,
where the hell are you going with this?
Hieroglyphics. We started there. Fire, wheel. This is definitely Tuesday, Thursday fodder that we're
There's
blowing
the
here.
Gutenberg press, right? Yeah, okay. The printing press.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's get to today's interview, can we? Because I think that Dr. Joe is probably going to be pissed if we end up talking about the wheel and fire on his show. Listen, I never told him what the actual intro was going to be all about, and I thought I gave him a good intro when he was on the show. So I figure everything else, it's okay if we kind of do our thing just for a moment.
Sure, we're not even going to give the nice guy community an idea of what he's all about?
No, I totally want to do that. But before we share Dr. Joe Tatta with the Nice Guy community, I know we have a couple of things to do. Number one, we have a promise statement. The promise statement is to provide a learning experience that is entertaining, which is that first part. And we're going to add value to your life. That'll be the second part that we get here. If you don't feel we're living up to that, please hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Reel to Reel, Hieroglyphic, Smoke Signal, however you can get to us. At DJ Doug is me. That guy over there, Strickland, he is at Nice Guy on Biz with a Z. All right. And we have a sponsor today, too. Is Julie sponsoring today's show?
Julie Riesler, who wrote a book called Get a PhD in You. If you haven't heard about it, it's amazing. You can get the link in our show notes. It's really all about you getting to know you better. There's a bunch of great exercises in there. And you may think you know you, but you don't know what you don't know about you. Everybody's got blind spots, and you don't realize what they are until you really sit down and examine yourself, so to speak. And that's what this book will help you do.
Wait. It teaches you how to examine yourself? Is there pictures?
Well, we do have Joe Tatta on today. He is a doctor.
Oh, that's true. Well, we could. I just don't ask me to turn my head and cough. I don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. So, if you want to get a hold of Julie's book, Get a PhD in You, head over to our show notes and click on the link. You'll have access to her book, which is amazing. She is amazing. She'll teach you how to reorganize, recertify, respecialize, reinvigorate yourself, and redo those tapes in your head that say you are no good. We know you are good. You are special. You are loved. You are a part of our community, and we don't have junk in our community. We got junk all over the place, but we don't have any in our community. That is for sure. Okay, so Julie,
junk, Doug?
No, I would never do that. You know, Strick, I don't do that on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'll talk about your junk on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Tatta's like a doctor and shit, right? Like, he's not going to appreciate all this dirty down talk, you know?
No. Maybe we'll re-edit the intro to his show so it comes across very professional. He's actually he is an extremely professional guy. So he talks about, first of all, he is an author, he's a practitioner, he's a board certified nutrition specialist, he's a health consultant, and he's also a podcaster too. So take a listen to this interview. We're going to talk about pain management, the things that you need to go through. There is definitely a connection between your brain, what you're thinking, and the physical problems that you have. And he talks about the connection between the two. Is pain really just in your head? I don't think so. It is real. So he shares how to kind of help you readjust and rethink and work through this pain that you might have. Chronic pain sufferers. This is definitely a good episode for you. If you have any pain on a regular basis, or if you just have this every once in a while, I got nagging back pain, what should I do? He hits you from a medical perspective. Very good, very technical, but also very easy to understand. So Dr. Joe Tatta sharing his story with us and sharing his specialty with us today on the Nice Guys on Business podcast. We take our bodies for granted, and today's guest, Dr. Joe Tatta, shares his expertise with us today. If you are young and you're strong, this is a great episode for you. If you're a bit older and you have those nagging pains and feeling just generally, stay tuned. Author, practitioner, board-certified nutrition specialist, health consultant, and also a podcaster. Welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast, Dr. Joe.
Hey, Doug, it's great being here with you today. Thanks so much.
No, our pleasure. My honor to have you on the show. And there is a lot of pain that seems to go into not only podcasting, but into being an entrepreneur. So I think it's a really good fit for the community here. So share with our Nice Guy community what you focus on in your business, and then we can kind of go from there. But just so we have a well-rounded feel for what you do, Dr. Joe.
Sure. As a doctor of physical therapy, the number one complaint that people come to me with is pain, and oftentimes that is chronic pain. And I treat a number of different types of chronic pain syndromes, both in my physical practice as well as in my online business.
Wow, that was you. See, everybody seems to go on for like 10 minutes when I ask them that question, but you know, it's interesting. Nice Guy community. Before I hit so Dr. Joe, just great questions. I mean, that was a simple question. So, and I gave you a real long answer for it. So let's go here. How much of a connection is there between a physical problem that we're having that creates the pain that we have, and our brain that either holds us back or propels us forward. Is the pain ever just in our head? Or, I mean, some people just always seem to be in pain.
It's a great question, Doug. So let me give you a couple of tidbits around that topic. So first of all, pain is always real. So if you have pain right now and if you've experienced pain for weeks or months or decades or years, pain is always real. What we now know about pain is that no matter what type of pain you have, whether it's arthritis, whether it's autoimmune disease, whether it's pain from a trauma, pain is always an output of the brain. So pain is about protection, and it's always a decision of the brain. So ultimately, your brain is what produces pain, not your body.
So how do you, but how do you get around some of that? I mean, you talk about in some of the information that I was doing as I was doing a little research, you talk about healing pain holistically. Now, can you share some of the advantages to going that way versus taking medication or pills? I mean, it may seem obvious that, well, yeah, you want to go a more natural route, but oftentimes that doesn't give you the immediate relief. So can you just chat about that for a second so that the Nice Guy community can kind of understand that holistic approach?
I can. So pain, especially chronic pain, and in the work I do, I work with people with chronic pain. So we're not talking about someone who just fell and, scraped their knee or broke their arm. We're talking about chronic pain, of course. And pain is an experience. It's both a sensory and an emotional experience. So there are inputs from the body, such as tissues that are tight and an inflammatory diet, let's say, that causes inflammation. But there are also the other parts of the brain, what we call a pain neuromatrix, that are involved. And those are things like your emotions, your memories, your thoughts, your beliefs, and even what you've been taught about pain. So when your brain makes this decision to turn pain on, it takes all of those things into account, basically. Not just the one thing. Oftentimes people think, oh, it's just my arthritis acting up, or it's just because I'm overweight. Mm-hmm. And those things are, of course, very important. But when I work with patients one-on-one, I really kind of sift through some of all these items for them so they figure out that, okay, it's not just that my doctor said I have maybe a herniated disc in my back, but it could also be my stress levels. It could also be my emotions. It could also be the false beliefs that I have around what causes pain and what actually heals it. So how do you treat, I mean, that sounds like a number of things you're treating. You're not just treating the pain, but you're treating the brain. Oh, that's interesting. So there you go. I love that, Doug. That's awesome. You can have it. It's all yours, no charge. So you do have to treat more than the pain. You have to treat the brain. So can you help me just get my head around it? Because normally you go to a doctor and you say, I have a lower back pain, and they say, okay. And if they're an orthopedic guy, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So all of a sudden you got this orthopedic guy that is saying surgery, medication. Then you go to a chiropractor and they're like, well, you really should be adjusted every 6 months. You go to a physical therapist and they might apply heat or apply cold. How do you know who to trust? How do you know the direction to go? Because it sounds like there's many things that you can possibly treat, the pain and the brain. That's true. And oftentimes people need more than one approach to heal them. So obviously if you're coming in, let's say you're obese, you may obviously need a nutritional intervention. And you may also need some type of exercise program to not only help with weight loss, but what we know about exercise, and this is what physical therapists know and do, is that, of course, exercise makes you stronger and it makes you more flexible, but it actually sends a signal to the brain that movement is okay and that I'm safe, basically. Ultimately, when the brain feels safe, when we decrease fear, pain often goes away. So oftentimes there's an exercise component to it, there's a nutritional component to it, and then there's more of a mindfulness-based approach to it where I try to figure out, okay, what negative beliefs are you holding on to? How can I bust those negative beliefs? How can I help you reframe those negative beliefs? And if there are any negative thought patterns, we call that pain catastrophizing. And those are thoughts that kind of go like this, Doug. I'm always going to have pain. This pain is never going to go away. Yeah. This pain is going to be the death of me. When we start to reframe those thoughts, pain actually starts to decrease almost immediately. That to me is just, I believe it.
And it's just so unbelievable. It's great that that it is the potential that's out there. So what you're saying is, and again, you can correct me because I'm such a layman when it comes to this stuff, but I think your subject matter is so fantastic and interesting. What it sounds like you're saying is somebody that has an autoimmune condition. Is fibromyalgia, is that an autoimmune condition or is it?
Yeah, it's close. Some fibromyalgia patients have an autoimmune basis to it. Yeah.
Okay, so you take somebody that's in chronic pain and you say, let's put your head in the right spot. Let's start there for a moment. I know you're in pain, and I feel you, and I have empathy for you. But let's get your head in the right spot. Can it be as simple as just doing that? Because that would be fantastic if it was.
It can. We know from both clinical practice as well as a number of research studies that have been done, randomized controlled trials, that within an hour to 2 hours of this is what's called a pain science intervention, where someone talks to you about what pain is and the entire pain experience. And just by educating people, just by giving them some of this information, empowering them, their pain starts to decrease. So oftentimes, you come to me, I'm a physical therapist, and you think, okay, I must be doing some type of exercise. And eventually there will be exercise. But often the first or second session, there's a lot of talk that goes on. And I'm gathering information about what you believe and what your thoughts are. And I'm also kind of gently putting new thoughts into your head to reframe pain. I think an example is best when we talk about x-rays. Oftentimes, you mentioned an orthopedic surgeon. You'll go with knee pain to an orthopedic doctor. They'll take an x-ray and they'll say, okay, you have arthritis in your knee. Now, we know from studies and research, and this is out there, physicians know this as well, that imaging studies are poorly correlated with pain. So we have patients that we take x-rays of their knees and they show awful arthritis who have actually no pain at all. And then we have others where it's the reverse, actually. So imaging studies are poorly correlated. Oftentimes people say, well, I went to my doctor and they said I had awful arthritis. And I say, well, language is very important. So the word awful arthritis or degeneration sounds very scary. And when the nervous system is in a fight or flight response from fear, pain is often the output that's created.
Isn't that incredible? I mean, what's the philosophy, patient heal thyself? It's so telling that if you would just be putting the right information in your head, if the tapes that are going on in your head, we've had guests over the last couple of weeks that have come on the show, and I've brought this theme up many, many times, is that how do you get unstuck and how do you get beyond the tapes that are going off in your head? I think as a physical therapist, you probably have to spend almost as much time being a psychologist as you do having to actually do the mechanical movements with somebody in your office. Is that fair?
Absolutely, because when someone with pain, you say, okay, let's start with some exercise. They say, I hurt. The last thing I want to do is move. So obviously we have to start to kind of reframe that for them, make them feel safe, that they can do a little bit of exercise, that they can be a little bit sore, but still be safe, and that hurt doesn't always equal harm in the case of chronic pain because the pain is being generated by the brain and not by the joint. When they start to understand those concepts, everything changes sometimes within hours or days.
That's amazing. What's really interesting also is that you have what's the name of your podcast?
So it's called the Healing Pain Podcast.
So I listened to a couple of episodes in preparation for this, and I love the guests that I've listened to and the other experts that I've heard on your show. Talk about the subject matter that you talk about, because it really is, I think that it's a little bit more technical than I probably am used to listening to a shit show like mine. so it may be a little bit more technical, but it was really good because it does, when you start to think about the things, like I have back pain. So I think about that back pain and I'm like, yeah, a lot of the people that come on your show, they do talk about the psychology of the pain, not just the pain itself and how do we fix it through, surgery or pills. So chat for a second about your podcast, because I think you do a really good job of presenting your subject and your subject matter.
Thanks, Doug. So I started the podcast probably about a year ago, and I really started as a platform changer because we have a lot of people who are addicted to opioids. We have a lot of surgeries that are happening. And we know that for chronic pain, those things don't work. So I said, I'm going to create a podcast and a platform to help change the paradigm around how we treat chronic pain. And I have everyone on there from, psychologists to neuroscientists to physical therapists to nutritionists to physicians. I've even had a couple of patients on there just talking about their pain experience. But yeah, when you start to get into the pain world, most of us, whether you're a physical therapist or a psychologist, we're really trying to educate you. We're trying to increase your knowledge base. So there are a couple of technical words in there, but what works really well with people who have pain is to speak in metaphors.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you speak in metaphors, you're really giving someone like a paragraph of information instead of giving them, that one sentence that's very, very technical. And people do really well with metaphors. And, a lot of the metaphors we have around pain, like your joints are crumbling or pain is burning, those are all constructs. So pain doesn't actually burn. Obviously, there's nothing, hot on you.
Right.
There are constructs that your brain is made up. And when I start to kind of change those constructs, eventually your pain starts to decrease. So yeah, the podcast can be a little technical, but I really want to make people a little smarter in the same token.
No, I'm okay with being with catching an education at the same time that I'm catching some great information. I think it's really it's a well-run, well-put-together professional podcast. So, Nice Guy community, if you're not in pain, but you want to figure out how to avoid pain moving forward in your life, really very interesting subject matter. It kind of reminds me of the medical version of even like Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. You're not really used to seeing it every day, but when you see it, it's like I don't want to look away. I kind of like watching what's going on here.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
So you wrote a book, Heal Your Pain Now. It's been getting some great reviews. A fairly new release, is that right?
Yeah, it's new, but it's been number one in 3 categories on Amazon for about 2 months. So I'm super excited about it.
No, that's great. And I was watching that, and I saw one of the experts I was reading about one of the experts that endorses the book, and to quote the expert, we've been approaching pain all wrong. The solution is not in a bottle. It comes by taking control of your life. And we've spent several minutes talking about the idea of that holistic approach. But can you just comment about taking control of your life?
I can. So often, unfortunately, in our medical system, we go to a practitioner and we expect them to heal you. And, if we're talking about an acute problem, like if you have a heart attack or you fracture your leg, of course, that person's going to intervene. With chronic pain, it's really about empowering people. It's really about inspiring them. And it's really about giving them the tools they need to heal themselves. Unfortunately, we treated chronic pain primarily with opioids, and both the CDC and the NIH came out about a year ago with statements that opioids don't work for chronic pain. So we know through research it doesn't work. So we're in the process now of, untangling this painful web, if you will, and giving people the tools they need to heal from pain. And what's really fascinating, Doug, is once pain starts to go away, people's lives open up in ways that they never ever thought would be possible.
Their personal life gets to be better, their work life gets to be better, the relationships in their life get better and amplify. So many amazing things are tied into, are you in pain or you're out of pain? There's so many crotchety people out there that, I'm just in pain, get away. It's like nobody even wants to be around that type of person. You feel bad for them, but you really just want to run as far away from them as you can.
Yeah, hurting doesn't make you happy. And we know that depression and chronic pain actually looks very similar in the brain. So when we look at the brain under a functional MRI, the parts that light up in the brain with depression, oftentimes the parts that light up with chronic pain. And chronic pain, people are not happy. You're not happy. Oftentimes you can't move. You don't feel good. And what you said, Doug, is really important. The social aspect of it is oftentimes people detach, or they have to detach from social situations. They lose friends, lost days of work. So people calling in sick, or the pain is the number one reason why people call in sick. And employers are very interested in this topic because they lose billions. Our economy loses billions of dollars a year from chronic pain syndromes, and employees calling in late and lost productivity. So it really hits home with almost everybody.
Dr. Joe, if you could do us a favor and just take your hat off as a doctor for a second, and a physical therapist and a podcaster and all of that, but put your entrepreneur hat on, because I want to ask you a handful of questions about growing your business, because I think that oftentimes it comes down to, yes, you're an expert at what you do, but share some of the stuff that we all go through, all the shit that many entrepreneurs go through. So can you spend a moment just answering some of these questions for me?
Absolutely. Business hats going on.
All right, great. So and take about 15 seconds to answer each one, and I'll do my best to stay away and not step on you. So be relatable, Dr. Joe. What do you suck at?
Oh, God, what do I suck at? So recently I really sucked at public speaking.
Really?
And I've got
fascinating guy.
It's fascinating. Well, as a practitioner, you work one-on-one with people, so I'm very good at talking to people one-on-one, like in this scenario. But I was recently on stage in front of 1,000 people, and I was like, I really need some help to get better at this.
Interesting. All right, be transparent. How did you pay your bills when you first got going?
In business?
Yeah.
I saved some money. I sold my car. I really dropped all my expenses down. I had a little bit of money that was, quote unquote, gifted to me by an angel investor, about $50,000, and I paid him back within 3 months.
Wow, good for you. Very rare. It did 3 months. That's like that's a 20-year debt.
That's true.
Be confident. What do you do as an entrepreneur that's as good as it gets?
I give people hope. And I think I give two different types of people hope. One are, of course, those with pain. And then two, the practitioners who work with people who have pain and they're very frustrated at the current medical system. And by the book that I have coming out and the podcasts I've done and the online summits I've done and the programs that I have online, people see that, there's a different way and there's probably a better way we can help people with pain. Rather than seeing them one-on-one in the clinic, we can create online programs to help them in the comfort of their home.
Interesting. Okay, 2 more to go. Be humble. What experts did you need to call upon to make shit happen when shit wasn't happening in the beginning?
Humility is a really important thing. When you start to, it's interesting. When I wrote this book, I realized that I was creating this new platform that no one's really spoke about. So I'm sticking my neck out there where I'm saying, we need to stop giving people drugs and we need to heal them naturally. And with that, things will change. So I reached out to, I have a mentor. Her name is JJ Virgin. She's a nutrition and fitness expert. She's written 4 New York Times best-selling books, but she's someone who always does things at the highest level. And I spoke with her about it. I said, I'm a little bit nervous about sticking my neck out there. And she's like, you have to go bigger than you think. She's like, when you go bigger than you think, everything will kind of fall into place.
And that's golden information for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give you 4 words, and I'd like you to put them into priority order. And I've just so you have them in front of you, I also just sent them to the little chat box through Skype, so you have it there too. But here are the 4 words. As an entrepreneur, put these 4 words in order: employees, customers, products, systems.
Wonderful question. I'd say number 1 are employees, number 2 are customers, number 3 are systems, and number 4 are products.
Okay, and tell me why you put the employees first.
I used to own 15 physical therapy clinics, and I never would have been able to grow what I had unless I had the employees to help carry my vision through. 2, you can't have a business unless you have happy, satisfied, loyal customers. 3, you need the systems in place to capture the customers, to train the employees, to make sure everything is running well in your business. And then 4, you need the products to obviously offer people.
I love it. I appreciate that. It's amazing, just depending on the type of person that you're talking to, that the answers that you get, and sometimes I get systems first, and sometimes I get customers last, and it just depends on the person that's answering the question. I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer. I just think there's the answer that fits for you and your style.
Yeah, it's an awesome question.
Thanks. Thank you. Do you have your cell phone anywhere near you?
I do.
Great. Do you have an iPhone or something inferior?
I have an iPhone.
Okay, excellent.
Don't we all?
Good. So, well, all but 2 of us, because I've done 175 of these interviews. I think 2 of them have had non-iPhone phones. Go to your texting app. What is the last text message that you sent?
The last one I received was, "Hey there, check in with me when you have a chance. I have a couple of questions." So that comes from someone on my team.
Excellent. Go to your photo app. What is the last picture that you took? I'm just curious how Dr. Joe lives.
Yeah, the last picture that I took was actually I did a whiteboard teaching on a video about the brain and pain. And it's a picture of this whiteboard teaching with the brain in the center and lines coming out from the brain with all the different things that we spoke about earlier in the podcast that contribute to your pain experience.
Did I see that somewhere on your website? I thought I saw some fascinating like illustrations, and it really was very telling about the pain centers or maybe the process that you go through in order to eliminate pain. Was that on your website?
Yeah, I have a number of blog posts about the brain and pain, about neurotags, about pain catastrophizing thoughts. A number of those all focus on the brain. So those are all blog posts you probably saw.
No, that's great. That's great. So yeah, that was going to be my next question. How can people get a hold of you or your information if they want to find out and hear more about Dr. Joe?
Sure. The book is called Heal Your Pain Now, the revolutionary program to reset your brain and body for a pain-free life. You can go to healyourpainnow.com to pick up the book. And you can learn more about me on my website at drjoetatta.com. That's drjoetatta.com.
Dr. Joe Tatta, thank you so much for being a part of the show. We'll make sure we make available to our Nice Guy community all of the links and everything else to get your book, to get to your website, and to reach out to you. Thanks for being a part of the community, Dr. Joe.
Great, Doug. Lots of fun chatting today.
Oh, my pleasure. Our pleasure for sure. Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Seriously, it'll only hurt for a minute. Or two. 10 tops.